Welcome, everyone, to our brand new YouTube channel. We're really diving into the world of UFOs. It's a topic full of mystery and speculation and, well, frankly, some pretty wild stories.
It's a topic that really sparks curiosity.
Definitely.
But also a healthy dose of skepticism is a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the approach we're going to be taking here. We'll be examining eyewitness accounts, official reports, and even some of those out there theories.
Yeah.
But remember, we want to equip you, the viewer, to draw your own conclusions.
That's right.
We'll be your guides, helping you navigate through this world. But think of us as your partners in critical thinking.
Yes.
Because in the world of UFOs, things are rarely black and white.
Okay, so to kick things off, we're doing a deep dive on 4 captivating UFO cases. The Westall UFO incident, the Phoenix Lights, that strange encounter over Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and a scientific study off the coast of Long Island. Each case offers a very unique perspective on this whole UFO thing, and together they paint a picture that's intriguing and at times a little unsettling.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Westall UFO incident.
1966,
suburban Melbourne, Australia. Just picture this, all right? It's a bright and sunny afternoon at Westall High School, and suddenly, hundreds of students and teachers witness something extraordinary in the sky. A large, metallic, silver-gray disc just hovering there.
Hundreds of witnesses in broad daylight. That's not something you can easily dismiss.
No, it's not. Some witnesses even said that they saw it land in a nearby field. Others said they watched it move at incredible speeds, even disappearing and reappearing before their eyes.
Wow.
And you know what's really interesting? A lot of these witnesses, they were very familiar with aircraft because of the nearby Moorabbin Airport. They knew what they were looking at, and they were insistent that what they saw that day was not anything conventional.
Wow.
And to add even another layer here, some witnesses, including a science teacher at the school, they said that they were told to keep quiet by men claiming to be military personnel.
That sends chills down my spine. To see something so extraordinary and then to be told to deny it ever happened. That really speaks volumes about the potential for secrecy surrounding these events.
Yeah, and you know, the incident was investigated. They had all these different explanations, ranging from a weather balloon to a nylon target drogue. But none of these explanations really fully accounted for what all those people said that they saw.
Right.
And the Royal Australian Air Force, they even denied any involvement. So what really happened that day in Westall? Was it just a case of mistaken identity, or could it be something more? We may never know the full story of what happened in Westall. But the incident, despite the lack of concrete evidence, it highlights the impact that these events can have on individuals and communities, especially when they feel like they're not being believed or they're being silenced.
Right.
It makes us think about the possibility of government secrecy and the suppression of information. And those questions, they continue to fuel speculation and debate even to this day. Now, if the Westall incident hinted at potential cover-ups, the Phoenix Lights case, that takes it to a whole other level. March 13th, 1997, thousands of people across Arizona, they witnessed not one but 2 distinct UFO events. The first one involved a massive V-shaped formation of lights that were just gliding silently across the night sky. The second event, this involved a series of stationary lights hovering over Phoenix.
A V-shaped formation stretching over 300 miles.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a couple of blinking lights here.
No.
This was a massive event witnessed by thousands. And the sheer scale of it is what makes it so intriguing. Some witnesses said the V-shaped formation was bigger than a football field.
Oh, yeah.
Even up to a mile wide.
And that's a visual. I can't even begin to process a mile-wide formation of lights. That really boggles the mind.
It does make you wonder what could possibly create such a phenomenon.
I know. And as if the visual spectacle wasn't enough, one of the most compelling eyewitnesses was the governor of Arizona at the time, Vice Symington. Initially, he dismissed the event. He even held a press conference where his chief of staff dressed up as an alien.
A governor publicly mocking UFO sightings. What a time to be alive.
It does seem a bit counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. Years later, after leaving office, Governor Symington, he changes his tune.
Yeah.
He admitted he wasn't joking that day, and he described seeing a large, triangular craft just moving slowly and silently with lights.
Really?
Yeah, and he even said, "It was enormous. I'm a pilot, and I know just about every machine that flies. It remains a great mystery."
Okay, talk about a plot twist.
Right.
A governor who initially dismissed the event later comes forward and says that he saw something extraordinary. Why the change of heart? What did he really see that night?
It certainly adds another layer of intrigue to an already fascinating case. And it raises questions about what information those in power may have but aren't sharing with the public.
You can't help but wonder.
You really can't. But let's move from the desert skies to a very different setting. Let's go to a busy airport in the middle of America. 2006, multiple United Airlines employees at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, they reported seeing a metallic disc-shaped object hovering near one of the gates. We're not talking about some quick glimpse in the middle of the night. This was a group of trained professionals, pilots and mechanics, observing this object for an extended period of time. And these were people whose jobs depend on being able to identify aircraft. They knew what they were looking at, or rather, what they weren't looking at. They described it as a metallic disc, and get this, it hovered silently for over 5 minutes before shooting straight up through the cloud cover and leaving behind a perfectly circular hole.
A giant metallic disc disappearing into the clouds above one of the busiest airports in the world. That's not something you can easily brush aside.
No, and people didn't. The event, it made headlines. There was a lot of pressure for an explanation from the authorities.
So what do they say caused this very bizarre event?
Their official explanation?
Yeah.
A hole punch cloud, a rare but known weather phenomena.
A hole punch cloud bigger than a jumbo jet? I'm not a meteorologist, but that sounds a little far-fetched.
Right. And while hole punch clouds can occur, many people, including some scientists, found this explanation unsatisfactory given the object's very unusual and rapid ascent and its described shape and metallic appearance.
Right. It's one of those cases where the official explanation just doesn't quite add up.
It doesn't. Speaking of things that don't quite add up, let's talk about the research conducted off the coast of Long Island.
Okay.
Unlike many UFO investigations that rely heavily on eyewitness accounts, this one was different.
Okay.
This study involved a team of engineers with backgrounds in forensic investigation. They spent 10 months conducting this field study off the coast of Long Island using all this advanced equipment like active radar and multispectral cameras and a whole suite of sensors to try and analyze these unexplained phenomena.
So they were treating it like a CSI investigation, but for UFOs?
Yes, exactly.
What did they find?
Well, they documented multiple instances of what they called spheroids, objects that they estimated to be the size of small cars, exhibiting very unusual movement patterns, and even appearing to interact with their equipment.
Hold on. Objects the size of cars and interacting with the scientific equipment. That's not your average weather balloon or flock of birds?
No, it's not. And they chose their location, Robert Moses State Park, very deliberately.
Okay.
It's a relatively isolated area, so it minimizes interference from man-made objects and light pollution. And being on the coast is significant because UAP sightings, they often cluster around coastlines.
Okay.
So they strategically position themselves in a prime location for potential UAP activity, using all this advanced equipment to collect data.
Interesting. So what did they make of these spheroids?
Well, they're very meticulous in their attempts to rule out conventional explanations. They compared their findings to databases of known aircraft, satellite trajectories, even flocks of birds and weather balloons.
Wow.
They considered atmospheric conditions that could create false positives on their instruments.
Nice. They were incredibly thorough.
They were. They weren't jumping to conclusions. They even considered the possibility of advanced, perhaps even secret, human technology.
You mean like experimental aircraft or secret government projects?
Exactly.
Wow.
But here's the most intriguing part. They didn't shy away from the possibility that this technology, if that's what it was, may not be human-made.
So they were open to the idea that these spheroids could be extraterrestrial in origin. That's a pretty bold statement from a group of scientists.
It is. And it's important to remember that their data, while not conclusive, definitely raised more questions than it answered. It challenged our understanding of physics, of reality itself. Because these spheroids, if their observations hold true, seem to operate outside the known laws of physics.
Are you suggesting that these objects defy our current understanding of how the universe works?
They seem to. They were observed to appear and disappear suddenly, and their movements, the speeds, and the angles seem impossible based on our current understanding of physics.
What?
It raises the questions. Are the laws of physics, as we understand them, incomplete? Is there more to the universe than we can currently perceive with our limited senses and instruments?
That's a pretty profound thought. It really highlights how much we still don't know. And that's what makes that study off the coast of Long Island so fascinating. They were really trying to apply scientific methods to something that has often been relegated to the realm of speculation and conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that these spheroids that they were looking at, They seem to share some characteristics with other UAPs that have been reported, particularly those observed by military pilots.
Right.
We're talking about objects performing maneuvers that just seem impossible, appearing and disappearing suddenly, even moving at incredible speeds without any visible means of propulsion.
It's almost as if these objects are mocking our understanding of physics and showing us just how much we still have to learn.
It really is. But speaking of defying physics, let's go back to that O'Hare incident for a sec, that giant metallic disk. You mentioned earlier that there was some speculation about warp drive technology. I have to admit that sounds a little out there, even for me.
It might sound like something straight out of Star Trek, but the idea behind a warp drive is actually incredibly fascinating. Imagine space is like a giant sheet of paper, right? So instead of traveling across the sheet, a warp drive would essentially fold the paper, bringing your destination closer to your starting point.
So you're not breaking the speed of light, you're manipulating space-time itself. That's mind-blowing. But how does that explain what those witnesses saw at O'Hare?
Well, some physicists have suggested that if a craft, let's say it was using a warp drive and deactivated it, that could potentially cause some of those visual effects that those witnesses described.
Interesting.
That sudden upward movement, the hole in the clouds, it's like the fabric of space-time snapping back into place.
It's like something out of a science fiction novel. To think that could be based on real physics, on a potential technology that's far beyond our own. It's exhilarating and a little unnerving at the same time.
It makes you think about what might be possible, right? And it highlights how important it is to keep an open mind when we're approaching this topic.
Definitely.
Just because we don't understand something right now doesn't mean it's impossible.
Right.
Our understanding of the universe is always evolving.
Let's take it back for a second. Back to 1966, the Westall incident. You mentioned earlier that some witnesses reported seeing these men claiming to be military personnel who told them to keep quiet about what they saw.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, this wouldn't be the first time that authorities have been accused of covering up UFO sightings.
Right.
The idea of government secrecy, it's a recurring theme in ufology.
Why do you think that is? Why would they want to keep this kind of information under wraps?
Well, there are a lot of theories out there, ranging from the mundane to the more outlandish. Some people think that governments might be trying to prevent mass panic, social unrest.
I can see how news of an alien spacecraft could be pretty unsettling for people.
Exactly. Others think that it could be a matter of national security, if these objects are thought to possess advanced technology that could pose a threat.
Right.
And let's not forget about the potential economic implications.
Oh, absolutely not.
Imagine the disruption to global markets if it was revealed that some other intelligence out there had access to technology that dwarfed our own.
Right. It would be chaos.
Right. It's a lot to wrap your head around. But it's important to note that while government secrecy is a common theme in ufology, it's not proof in itself of extraterrestrial activity.
Right.
There could be other explanations, such as classified military projects or even simple misunderstandings. So It's important to maintain a healthy degree of skepticism, even when we're dealing with what appear to be credible witnesses and pretty compelling evidence.
Sure.
After all, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Speaking of extraordinary claims, let's talk about the Phoenix Lights case again, and Governor Symington's eventual admission that he saw something that he couldn't explain.
Right.
His change of heart has been the subject of a lot of speculation over the years. Some people believe he was trying to avoid causing a panic while he was in office. Others think that he might have been pressured to stay silent by, higher authorities.
Right.
And then there are those who believe that he was telling the truth all along, that he really did see a massive triangular craft that he couldn't explain.
It's interesting to note that triangular UFOs have been reported in other parts of the world, with some governments even acknowledging their own investigations into these sightings.
It's true. And Governor Symington wasn't the only credible witness to the Phoenix Lights. Dr. Lynn Kitei, a respected physician, she also reported seeing this mile-wide formation of orbs that night.
So we have multiple witnesses, including a former governor and a physician, both describing similar extraordinary events.
That does carry a lot of weight.
It really does. It brings us back to the fundamental question at the heart of this whole UFO thing.
Which is?
Are we alone in the universe?
It's a question that has captivated humanity for centuries. And we may not have a definitive answer, but the pursuit of that answer has led to some incredible discoveries and advancements in science and technology.
And who knows? Maybe one day we'll have the answer to that question. But until then, the mystery continues. It really does. It takes us to the very edge of what we understand, and it forces us to confront the vastness of the unknown.
And that's what this channel is all about. We're going to be exploring these mysteries and examining the evidence and encouraging you at home to think critically about all of this.
We want to hear from you.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We really have.
We started in a schoolyard in Australia, then to the skies over Arizona, from a busy airport in Chicago to a scientific outpost on the coast of Long Island. We've looked at eyewitness accounts, debated official explanations, and even grappled with the possibility of technology far beyond our understanding.
Beyond anything we can even imagine right now.
And one thing's for sure, the world of UFOs is full of unanswered questions, tantalizing clues, and mind-boggling possibilities. It challenges our assumptions, and it pushes the boundaries of what we know and forces us to confront the very nature of reality itself.
It really is a fascinating field of study.
It is, and we are just getting started here. This channel is dedicated to all things UFOs. We're going to be bringing you guys in-depth explorations of the most intriguing cases, interviews with leading experts, thought-provoking analysis that goes way beyond the headlines.
We're going to be looking at it all.
We're going to be delving into government documents, looking at declassified files, and we'll explore the latest scientific research, all in an effort to separate fact from fiction and try to get to the bottom of what's really going on out there.
Because the truth is out there.
The truth is out there. It's waiting to be discovered. So if you're ready to come with us on this journey of discovery and exploration, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.